Alright, so picture this, we're in Japan at this super shady, isolated dock. And what's about to go down? A freaking auction. But it's not cars or art or anything normal. It's a young woman, like beautiful, vulnerable young women being sold off. The first girl up is described as Russian, about 5 feet 5 inches. And the way they're doing the bidding is insane. Guys are pointing laser pointers at her to bid. The price just skyrockets, starting at 800,000 yen, then 890,000 yen. Keeps going up fast, and finally, some dude with the number 1459 slaps down the winning bid. Just like that, the girl is snatched up and dragged off to her new owner. But hold on, out of nowhere, bam, a masked vigilante bursts onto the scene, and then chaos. 2 other people throw down smoke grenades, blinding everyone. Then, a girl on a motorcycle comes roaring in, scattering the bad guys like bowling pins. She's scaring them so badly that they are running wild. The masked dude keeps fighting, systematically taking down each of the thugs. Finally, it's just him and the sleazy MC of this whole operation. The MC panics and swings a club at the masked guy, knocking off his mask. The MC is all like, "Who the hell are you?" The masked guy just sneers, "I'm a taxi driver." Then POW knocks the MC out cold with one punch. Rewind a few days. We see a young woman trapped in a room. She's pounding on the door, screaming for help, but it's locked from the outside and guarded by some serious-looking dudes. She's desperate, but she's also smart. She gets an idea: the window. She stacks furniture like she's building a tower, climbs up, and starts smashing the window with her high heel. By the time the guards bust into the room, she's already out the window and running for her life. They're hot on her heels, chasing her down. She runs until she's totally exhausted. She thinks she is safe, and then boom, she runs into a cliff overlooking the ocean. She looks back and sees the bad guys. Knowing she can't let them take her, she decides to take the ultimate risk. Closing her eyes, she jumps off the cliff. Next thing she knows, she wakes up on the beach. She's alive, and next to her is a glass bottle with a business card inside. The card is for a rainbow taxi service, and it says, "Don't die, get revenge. We'll take care of it for you." Desperate, she finds a payphone and calls the number on the card. She cries into the phone, "My name is ECO. Please, save me." But before she can say anything else, the bad guys catch up to her and drag her away. On the other end of the line, a man named Sung Chul realizes something is seriously wrong when the call gets cut off. He knows this girl is in danger. Cut to a few days later, and the whole rainbow taxi crew is being called in. We see a guy named Do Ji walking through a secret door and taking an elevator down to an underground base. When he gets there, the whole team is waiting for him. Turns out, Sung Chul took a trip to Japan to investigate ECO's call for help. He found ECO's student ID hidden underneath the payphone. One of the team members, Go-eun, volunteers to go undercover as a student at ECO's school. But Do Ji has a better idea. He decides that a teacher would have more access to information, so he decides to go undercover as a teacher. The very next day, Do Ji shows up at the school as the new homeroom teacher for class 12A3. His fashion sense is unique. The girls in the class can't help but laugh. He tells the class to study on their own, then calls the class president out for a private chat. He asks her about ECO, and the class president says that ECO supposedly applied to go on a camping trip for some hands-on experience, but she doesn't know where she went. The class president is extremely curious about the new teacher, as he's asking such unusual questions. And Do Ji is wondering why she doesn't seem more concerned that her classmate has just vanished. Meanwhile, Sung Chul goes to visit ECO's grandmother to ask her some questions. Her grandmother tells him that ECO went to a boarding camp to study with friends. But Sung Chul notices something: her grandmother's eyes look like she has cataracts. He finds some research that ECO was doing on the cost of cataract surgery for her grandmother. Just then, Sung Chul calls Do Ji to give him an update. They both realize that ECO lied to her family and the school about going overseas about 10 days ago. Do Ji notices a female student is watching him from outside the classroom. He goes out to ask her what she wants to talk about. Ji says it is nothing, and she turns to walk away. Do Ji know they have something in common? Do Ji tells her they both worry about ECO, and that makes her cry. She then confesses to Do Ji that it is her fault that ECO is in trouble. JEE introduced ECO to an app on her phone and asked her to play some games. The rules of the game are simple. You just choose odd or even, and ECO won continuously when she started to play. So the next day, JEE gives ECO 50,000 won and tells her its winnings from the game. ECO is a little taken aback, but also extremely happy. If she can make money this easily, she can get her grandma's eyes fixed in no time. From that day on, ECO is glued to her phone, grinding in the game to make money. Every win is like a huge weight lifted off her shoulders. But when she starts losing, She completely loses control and gets super anxious. At first, the game was easy to win, but the more she played, the more she lost, until her points were all gone. And that's when she sees an ad for a point advance event. Jae tells her that she received an advance before, and ECO, not reading the terms and conditions, clicks agree without a second thought. Soon after, two thugs show up demanding late fees. They threaten her, saying that if she gets into debt from gambling, she won't be eligible for scholarships. ECO can't pay, so they give her a referral code. They say if she gets 5 friends to sign up within a week, they'll forgive her debt. That's when ECO realizes that JEE is also in debt to these guys, and that's why she recommended the game in the first place. The next day, ECO pretends to be playing the game in front of her friend, but ultimately her conscience gets to her. She can't bring herself to push her friend down the same path of gambling debt. Do Ji and his team discover that there are a lot of these simple games designed to trick kids into spending money? These point advance events are basically predatory loans. A 300,000 won loan is broken down into smaller contracts under 100,000 won. Because of a loophole in the law, cash transactions under 100,000 won aren't subject to interest rate limits. They're using this loophole to charge interest rates as high as 5,000% per year. The 300,000 won loan balloons to 1 million won in less than 2 weeks. It's insane. Loan contracts with minors are actually illegal, but kids might not know the law, and they're actually gambling. The thugs even show up at ECO school to demand money. That night, they went to her grandma's house and threatened to take all her money. JE shows up to protect ECO and threatens to call the police. The thugs then threaten to call the police and tell them that ECO is also gambling, and it is against the law. The girls are scared, so they kneel down begging them to stop, and then they give an easy solution. Just go to Japan for a month, and the entire debt will be wiped clean. ECO is desperate, so she considers it. At least if it's too hard, she can just come home. JE feels guilty for what happened, so she decides to go to Japan with her. On the day of departure, Yiji's father finds out the plan and immediately confiscates her cell phone. During this time, ECO is standing at the meeting point waiting for her and called her, but no one answers. Then she starts her journey by herself in despair. Unable to contact, Yiji is worried sick about ECO, but she doesn't dare to say anything to anyone. The whole team understands that ECO has fallen into the trap of loan sharks. Do Ji jumps into his black car, which has been upgraded into a race car, engine roaring like a wild animal, preparing to hunt. At the same time, Go-eun and 2 teammates get into the support vehicle, inside equipped with state-of-the-art equipment so she can coordinate the tactics and assist Do Ji from afar. According to the data Go-eun traced, the organization behind it is Nico Money, a loan shark company with capital from Japan, specializing in seducing teenagers to gamble and then sending them to Japan when they can no longer afford to pay. They are definitely human traffickers. Sung Chul directs to focus on finding ECO first. Go-eun decides to use their own tactics against them. She goes to see Yiji asking details about how the game and the gambling operate. Then she engages in the game herself non-stop, intentionally losing as fast as possible to set a new record. As a result, just as expected, 2 thugs come to Go-eun, and because she is disguised, she plays the role of a girl living alone, with no family, no friends, and no one to depend on. Seeing how pretty and vulnerable she is, they immediately switch from threats to sweet-talking, starting to advise her to go to Japan to work for a month or 2 to clear her debt. Exactly the trap they laid for ECO. The plan succeeds, and Go-eun is put on a ship and then transferred to a transport truck, just like the process they used to do with ECO. At the same time, Do Ji and his teammates also set foot in Japan. Sung Chul arranges 2 more special taxis for Do Ji and the 2 older guys, but because of the left-hand driving in Japan, these 2 drive like they're about to crash into each other. The escort car takes Go-eun to a lively entertainment district. She cleverly turns on the camera hidden in her necklace so the whole team can follow. But as soon as she enters the room, the image immediately loses signal. Turns out they've installed a signal jammer. Do Ji hears the signal go down and immediately rushes into the building. The Japanese guys think he's a customer looking for merchandise, so they try to stop him. In the blink of an eye, Do Ji has taken them all down without breaking a sweat. He finds the room and sees Go-eun fighting a Japanese guy. It turns out they were trying to confiscate her belongings, so Go-eun accidentally knocked them all down. Do Ji looks around the room and feels a chill run down his spine. On the wall in front of him are hundreds of portrait photos of girls, all stuck closely together. Many faces have been crossed out in red. Nobody knows if they're missing, sold, or worse. Below are rows of suitcases and belongings, probably from previous victims. Do Ji grabs the Japanese guy and hangs him upside down in front of the door like a punching bag, then starts asking for information about ECO. But he claims he only receives people and deletes their identities and traces, and the cash is transported in a private car. Go-eun guesses it's the car that brought her here, and she managed to quickly take a photo of the license plate earlier. Meanwhile, Iseo has been taken back to the base. The boss sees her face is scratched and asks who's responsible for managing her. One of his subordinates steps forward and is immediately stabbed to death. The next day, the Rainbow Taxi team goes looking for an insider to infiltrate the human trafficking ring's hideout. Do Ji dresses up like a rich Japanese heir and picks a fight with a group of thugs, demanding 50,000 yen in compensation for daring to dirty his shoes. He's immediately taken to see the leader of the gang. He acts like he's all that, but Do Ji doesn't care. The leader challenges him to fight one of his guys, and if he can last 5 minutes, he'll buy him new shoes. A huge sumo wrestler steps out. All the underlings laugh, thinking they've already won. Do Ji calmly takes off his jacket, rolls up his sleeves, and jumps into the ring. He throws a few punches, but they just hit the guy's fat like it's nothing. The sumo wrestler throws him around like a sack of rice and squeezes him like he's trying to crush him. But Do Ji doesn't flinch. He retaliates with an elbow to the head. Sumo starts bleeding and gets mad, determined to take him down. Do Ji immediately locks his legs and twists his arm, causing him so much pain that he has to tap out and give up. Sumo is released and tries to play dirty, so Do Ji knocks him out for good. Before leaving, Do Ji writes his phone number on Sumo's back for their boss. To buy new shoes, call me at this number. Soon after, the information is reported to the boss that tonight's recruitment session has been cancelled because someone caused trouble. He plays the recording of Do Ji's fighting ring match, watching and smirking with amusement. The dangerous game officially begins. EP2, a girl who's been brutally stabbed by a client but is still barely alive. The head of the human trafficking ring finds out and just takes out a sock and strangles her to finish the job. Cold-blooded. The next day, the police find the victim stabbed 29 times with a wine opener, but the cause of death is suffocation. The investigating officers are Japanese cop Suzuki and Interpol agent Michael. Suzuki says the fingerprints and footprints have been wiped clean, so they can't identify the victim. But it's likely the woman who went missing from Hong Kong 2 years ago. The fact that the killer didn't even try to hide the body suggests the human traffickers are getting bolder. Meanwhile, the boss gets the news that someone caused trouble at the recruitment session. He watches the video of Do Ji's fighting ring match and his smack talk, and smirks with amusement. New shoes. Huh? Set up a meeting. Do Ji noticed a job posting for security and delivery in their gym earlier. Turns out they hold a wrestling competition every month to recruit personnel. At this time, he realizes he is being followed. Do Ji tells his 2 friends to keep driving straight at the intersection. He turned to the right and then stopped. The other car also stopped. The sumo wrestler then gets out of the car and starts causing trouble. Then police officer Suzuki appears and invites him to the police station. Suzuki asked him why a Korean man had a Japanese taxi. Do Ji gave him a smart aleck response, which made him mad. But at that moment, the owner of a Japanese taxi company called to rescue him thanks to Sung Chul's intervention. It turns out these 2 cops arrested Do Ji because he ruined their months-long plan. Suzuki wants to deport him immediately, while Michael thinks he's their only option left. Right after that, they release him and want to talk privately. Michael introduces himself as an Interpol agent. At first, Suzuki translates for Do Ji, but then he realizes that Do Ji not only knows Japanese but also speaks English. Turns out Michael is investigating the human trafficking ring that uses gambling games to lure girls from Hong Kong, Taiwan, and other countries to Japan. Just like Iseo's case. The head of the Nikko Loan Company is Matsuda, the boss. It turns out the sumo guy that Do Ji beat up was an undercover cop they were planning to put in. If Do Ji hadn't interfered, he would have been selected as Matsuda's bodyguard today. So Michael wants Do Ji to become a replacement mole. He's sure that Do Ji isn't just a regular taxi driver, but doesn't ask about his identity or purpose, just that it's mutually beneficial. Do Ji doesn't respond right away and just walks away. After hearing Do Ji's story, Sung Chul thinks cooperating for mutual benefit isn't a bad idea. While everyone is discussing how to deal with the situation, they run into a crazy, filthy character. It's Hoshino, an underling of the 3rd-generation boss of the Hanesima gang, the actual owner of the land where Do Ji and his team are selling their goods. This old guy demands 500 yen commission per customer and keeps rambling about his glorious past. He doesn't want anyone to breathe, so he doesn't sing his glorious past again. He said he was a Yakuza member who is now retired. Do Ji decides just to pay him to get it over with. Just then, the human trafficking ring calls, telling Do Ji to come get his new shoes. That very day, Do Ji confidently goes to the meeting place alone. After giving him a pair of new shoes, the boss behind the curtain demands he apologize for causing trouble in his territory. And the way to apologize is to leave one of his fingers. He tells his underlings to give him a knife. Right after that, a group of menacing Yakuza enters to intimidate him. Do Ji doesn't hesitate and starts fighting them one by one, easily beating them all. Finally, he kicks them into the curtain, revealing the boss's face. He asks if he can apologize with one of his underlings' fingers instead. Before Matsuda can answer, one of his guys runs in and tells him there's a problem. When Michael and Suzuki lead the police in, both Matsuda and Do Ji have escaped. Turns out Do Ji pretended to be a murderer from Korea who is wanted by the Japanese police. Even though Matsuda saved him, Do Ji still provokes him, calling him a loud-mouthed weakling who's all talk. Matsuda gets pissed and tells his guy to stop the car. The two of them get out all hyped up and start brawling. This boss has got some fight in him. Not sure if Do Ji is holding back on purpose or not. The two fight like crazy for a while and finally collapse on the ground, gasping for air. Just then, it starts raining hard, making them both annoyed. Do Ji says, "Great, I was getting thirsty anyway," making Matsuda laugh. His guy wonders if they've hit their heads or something. Matsuda has taken a liking to Do Ji and invites him to join his gang. But Do Ji doesn't accept so easily. This guy seems to really like him. Go-eun has dug through all of Matsuda's company servers but still hasn't found any clues about ECO. Do Ji suddenly remembers that Matsuda wears a key on a necklace. Maybe that's where he keeps his top-secret documents. Matsuda seems to be very careful, not even trusting anyone under him. Just then, the old Yakuza guy comes demanding money for bringing customers. Seeing him ranting about his glorious past, Choi gives him 500 yen. Even with that, business is not profitable. Sungchul says that this old guy is a retired Yakuza, using this dirty way to make money. A group of thugs blocks his path, saying this is their territory. Do Ji realizes these guys are the ones from the gym the other day, and an idea pops into his head. Michael sets up a meeting with Do Ji to report that Matsuda is planning something. Money flow in all foreign branches is moving, so they need to take action. Do Ji says he needs Suzuki's help. At this time, the human traffickers are holding a regular meeting. After hearing the members' reports, Matsuda suddenly pulls out a dagger and places it in front of the long-haired guy, telling him to disembowel himself. It turns out the long-haired guy was inflating his reports to steal money. He frantically begs for mercy, but is immediately dragged away. In the Yakuza, betrayal equals a death sentence. Right outside Matsuda's headquarters, Do Ji deliberately starts trouble with a guy and beats him to a pulp. That's the signal he's been planning. Michael is secretly observing from the building across the street. The subordinate is actually Suzuki, and Michael thinks Do Ji is using his new power to punish someone from the past. This taunt immediately succeeds. Matsuda cuts off Do Ji's car and invites him to eat ramen. Knowing the boss hates traitors, Do Ji makes up a story about being betrayed by his best friend and losing his whole organization. The colorful shoes he's wearing are the last memento from his boss. Matsuda is very impressed and offers to recruit him to his gang. The salary is 10 times what he makes driving a taxi, but Do Ji refuses outright, saying he only wants to serve one boss. Finally, he agrees to work part-time as long as he can use his fists. Matsuda continues to test Do Ji by giving him a young girl without papers as a slave. Do Ji immediately refuses. Anyone who bows down and accepts that gift isn't trustworthy. Matsuda doesn't force him. Do Ji's first mission is to stand guard outside an auction. But when he looks inside, he's shocked. It's not an auction of objects, but of girls. The first item up for sale is a girl from Russia. The MC announces her height and measurements. The customers below select the item by shining lasers on the girl and bidding. Witnessing the girls trembling like objects being sold, Do Ji can't contain his anger and immediately requests assistance from his teammates. In an instant, Park and Choi start throwing smoke bombs, disrupting the auction floor. Do Ji puts on a mask, storms into the middle of the thugs, and takes them all down. Go-eun rides her motorcycle straight into the battlefield, making them even more panicked. While Do Ji is cleaning up the goons, she unties the victims and puts them on a ship where Sungchul is waiting to take them away. After the rescue, Michael is furious because Do Ji ruined his chance to capture the whole organization and gather evidence. Do Ji criticizes Michael for only worrying about catching people and not caring about the victims. Suzuki thinks Do Ji is playing both sides and tells Michael to keep an eye on him. Unfortunately, ECO isn't among the rescued girls. She's still being held at the base. The group realizes the only one who knows ECO's whereabouts is Matsuda, the boss who doesn't trust anyone, not even his closest subordinates. To save ECO, they have to infiltrate his lair. But after what just happened, Do Ji will be the first one he suspects. And as predicted, all those working part-time for Matsuda are purged to silence them. Kill them all, and even the little mouse will die. When it's Do Ji's turn, he not only doesn't beg for mercy but stands up to him. You don't trust anyone because you kill them before you can trust them. You're more afraid of being betrayed than anything. The tension is thick in the air when Matsuda's phone rings. The voice on the other end identifies himself as the real owner of the land he's standing on and warns that the attack at the auction yesterday was just the first warning. It turns out it's Sung Chul, calling himself Hoshino, the third-generation boss of the Hinesima gang. Matsuda goes crazy and takes his whole gang out to hunt down the one who dared to invade his territory. Du Ji enthusiastically asks to come along. Thanks to that, he not only escapes death but also legitimately blends in with Matsuda's crew. When Matsuda's gang arrives at Hoshino's gang's hideout, Sung Chul, Choi, and Park come out to meet them. Sung Chul is deeply immersed in the role of Godfather Hoshino. Matsuda gets annoyed and immediately orders his men to charge. The three Hoshino guys pretend to draw their swords and rush forward, but after only 2 steps, Sung Chul spits out blood. Du Ji adds from below, if he's coughing up blood like that, he's probably about to die. Matsuda loses interest and turns to leave, but just then Sung Chul jumps up and tries to slash him. Du Ji immediately stabs him with a fatal blow, saving Matsuda in the nick of time. I hate backstabbing. From that moment on, Matsuda is indebted to Du Ji and promises to repay him handsomely. Right after saving him, Matsuda takes Du Ji back to his lair. There, Du Ji sees firsthand the young girls being forced to serve the gang. Unexpectedly, Matsuda opens up to him, saying that he's been betrayed since he was a kid, so he chooses to betray others first to avoid being hurt. He even brags about his hobby of taking pictures of good food, but having no one to send them to. Now he wants to send them to Du Ji. Then he proposes brotherhood. Brother, I'll prepare a worthy position for you. So Du Ji immediately bows his head and calls him Big Brother. Michael is furious when he sees Du Ji getting closer and closer to Matsuda. Du Ji doesn't explain, only reports that the boss will be holding a party to welcome him tonight. That night, the Sakazuki ceremony is held with great pomp. Du Ji and Matsuda sit opposite each other, raising their glasses in a toast of brotherhood before the entire gang. At this moment, Matsuda reveals, at first, when I told you to become family, if you had nodded right away, I would have killed you on the spot. At that moment, Hoshino's old Yakuza gang storms in. It turns out this is Du Ji's strategy of letting others do the dirty work. He took advantage of the elders' desire to return to their glory days to stir up chaos, while he played the role of savior, leading Matsuda to escape. Michael and the Japanese police raid the place, intending to arrest everyone, but Du Ji and Matsuda have already escaped. The police immediately give chase, but Du Ji easily loses them, making Matsuda trust him even more. When they return to the lair, Matsuda is stunned to see Du Ji opening his safe full of money and gold. It turns out he quickly grabbed his necklace earlier. Matsuda realizes that Du Ji is the mole, secretly gathering evidence of his crimes. He frantically asks why Du Ji betrayed him when he was going to give him the world. Du Ji calmly replies, because my vacation is almost over, and ICO has to go to school. Matsuda gets angry and attacks. This time, however, Du Ji is ready, and he beats him. To be honest, you are a boring fighter. Suddenly, he pulls out a gun and aims it straight at him. If there's going to be betrayal, I'll do it first. But before he can pull the trigger, he's shot by Michael. Right after that, ICO is found safe and sound. On the day of their return, ICO and Yiji emotionally hug each other and cry. Now Du Ji finds the 2 pimps who specialize in luring girls and gives them a beating. Finally, it's time to tally up the expenses of the operation. This is the most expensive case ever. Plane tickets, lodging, car rental, parking fees in Japan, the fine for Choi driving the wrong way, and even the amount they were ripped off by the old Yakuza guy. It's a substantial amount in total, but Sung Chul quickly collected a trunk full of money from Matsuda's place, so all expenses are covered. Over there, Suzuki looks at the empty trunk, still baffled and not understanding what happened. Alright, let's dive into a typical day at the Rainbow Taxi Company base. Park and Choi are diligently cleaning the windows when the beautiful Go-eun asks about the old van. It's been fixed for a long time, but Choi feels reluctant to sell it. Go-eun reminds them to sell it this week, otherwise they'll have to pay for insurance again. Then she gets into Du Ji's car. Turns out, Go-eun is taking her taxi driver's license test today. She's still studying traffic laws in the car. As expected, Go-eun passes her taxi license, and even brags that she almost got a perfect score. Du Ji is waiting to congratulate her and give her a super cute taxi model, making Go-eun smile. She enthusiastically invites him to be her first customer and promises to drive him until the gas runs out. That evening, a haggard-looking taxi driver, Mr. O, comes to see Sung Chul. Mr. O is a former Rainbow taxi driver who left to work independently to earn money to pay off his debt and support his daughter, who is about to take the civil service exam. Turns out Mr. O wants to borrow $3 million in cash for an emergency. Sung-chul agrees immediately and promises to withdraw the cash for him tomorrow. Mr. Oh thanks him profusely and hurries away. The next day, Choi and Park find a buyer for the car. The picky customer examines every detail. After a while, he agrees to buy the car but demands to go for one last test drive. They happily agree, so the guy gets in the car and drives away, never to be seen again. When they call him, his phone is turned off. They wait anxiously until evening and then wait all night in the rain. In the morning, they frantically ask Go-eun to find information about the swindler. Just then, Sung-chul receives a call from Mr. Oh saying he doesn't need to borrow the money anymore. Sensing something is wrong, Sung-chul hurries to Mr. Oh's house, where his daughter tells him that her dad had an accident and is in the hospital. She also found a divorce petition in his drawer. Sung-chul rushes to the hospital and is horrified to find Mr. Oh about to jump off the roof. Fortunately, Sung-chul manages to dissuade him from his foolish plan. Finally, Mr. Oh comes down and hugs Sung-chul, sobbing. Turns out Mr. Oh is falling into a terrible debt trap. To be able to drive his own taxi independently, he scraped together loans from everywhere and poured all his capital into buying a car. There, he was tricked into buying an independent taxi license at a price lower than the market price because the previous owner had health problems. To avoid being branded as undercutting the market price, they told him to sign a contract to buy the car at the market price, and he would receive a refund of 800,000 won each month. Mr. Oh was happily bragging to his wife and children when the license was suddenly revoked immediately. The reason is that the previous owner of this license had an accident while drunk driving. Under current law, if the owner is fined for this crime, the license will be revoked, regardless of whether it has been transferred to another person. The scammers knew this law well, so they quickly resold the dying license to him to make a profit. Mr. O runs around everywhere, from the police station to the complaint center, but receives the cold response that we are just following the law. He returns to the company to get things straightened out, but they say they don't know anything and even challenge him to report them to the police. He bitterly endures driving a taxi for hire to make a living. But not long after, he receives a call demanding 40 million won in compensation because an imported car rented under his name had an accident. When Mr. O goes to confront them, the scammers present the contract he signed. It turns out the 800,000 won per month that he thought was a refund was actually a fee for him to borrow his name to register for renting a luxury imported car. That clause wasn't in the contract he signed, but since he didn't stamp each page, it's hard to prove. When he angrily curses them as scammers, a big guy as big as a bear beats him mercilessly. The director, Cha Byung-jin, then stomps on his hand, challenging him to report them to the police, saying it wouldn't do anything because everything is legal. He loses his license and also shoulders a huge debt out of nowhere. Mr. O completely collapses. After hearing the whole story, the Rainbow Taxi team is furious. Mr. O also presses the green button on the game console. The revenge mission officially begins. The Rainbow team investigates and discovers that the company is actually a large-scale scam ring. The director, Byung-jin, is a former lawyer who had his license revoked for causing a fatal car accident and fleeing the scene. After getting out of prison, he used his legal knowledge to exploit loopholes and defraud honest people legally. The whole team goes there to investigate. Choi recognizes the scammer who took his car the other day and gets angry, demanding his money back. The scammer, Deok-soo, pretends not to recognize Choi at first, then changes his tune and says that the car's engine broke down during the test drive, so 10 million will be deducted for repairs according to the agreement. Choi gets angry and tries to fight him, but the big guy carries him outside. Go-eun finds the imported luxury car that the scammers used Mr. O's name to rent. They rent this car out for more than 15 million per month to customers who can't rent it themselves, definitely criminals or soon-to-be criminals. If they cause an accident, Mr. O will have to bear the brunt. The three scoundrels in the imported car speed recklessly and drive into a pedestrian street. When they hit a pedestrian, they arrogantly threaten to make him pay for damaging the car. Everyone is upset but doesn't dare to do anything. Do Ji rushes up to block them and forces them to stop. One of them gets out of the car and tries to hit him. At that moment, two teammates drive a van and trap the scoundrels in a narrow alley for Go Ji to beat them. Then he confiscates the car and brings it back. However, the problem is that the car rental contract is still there. Mr. O still has to pay compensation. To solve the root of the problem, Do Ji decides to break into the lair to extort more money from them. Today, a naive young man comes to the showroom to buy a car. He just got a job at the factory and wants to buy a safe car for his wife, who is 7 months pregnant. Knowing they've found a fat chicken, they trick him into signing a contract to buy a car at a bargain price. After he signs, they pull out a missing page of the contract and force him to pay an additional 20 million in remaining value. The naive man realizes he's been scammed and declares he won't buy it anymore, but they demand 20 million won in cancellation fees. He threatens to report them to the police, and the boss, Cha Byung-jin, comes over, without saying a word, grabs a stick and starts hitting him. Then he forces his subordinate Deok-soo to grit his teeth and stand straight so he can hit him. It turns out they're doing this to get an injury certificate and then report the customer to the police for assaulting an employee. Byung-jin also says he knows the man's address and threatens to cause an accident to his wife and children. At this point, the buyer is frightened and begs for mercy, eventually being forced to take the car he never wanted. Just then, Do Ji drives in like crazy, crashing into the back of the other car. He pretends to be flustered and apologizes, accidentally spilling coffee on the contract and stomping on it. What to do? The contract is void. Seeing Do Ji wink, the buyer is overjoyed, says he doesn't want the car anymore, and runs away. The boss, Byung-jin, demands that Do Ji compensate him for damaging the car and canceling the contract. He then plays the role of a rich man, obediently agrees to pay compensation, and buys the car. Seeing this, Byung-jin has Deok-soo draw up a contract with him. Finally, Do Ji has to buy the used car at an exorbitant price. Not long after leaving the showroom, the car suddenly accelerates on its own, loses control, and loses its brakes, almost causing an accident. In a dangerous situation, Do Ji quickly thinks and steers the car backwards, crashing straight into the construction site at the Venner. Thanks to that, a tragic accident is avoided, but the strong impact leaves Do Ji unconscious. Fortunately, Do Ji is unharmed. When they check the car, Choi and Park discover it's a level 3 flood car, the most dangerous level. If the water floods the engine, the car may stall while driving or accelerate naturally, causing an accident no different from a mobile time bomb. But the scammers are extremely sophisticated. They replaced all seatbelts, steering wheel bolts, door car rubber, and even the fuse box to hide traces of mud. But Go-eun still finds a spot with mud stuck on it. According to the law, cars flooded to this level should have been destroyed, but they were still sold, meaning they have connections to get flooded cars. These days, Mr. O is still hiding out, not daring to go home because he's ashamed of his wife and children. Sung-chul has transferred the ownership of the luxury car to himself to take on the debt and ease Mr. O's burden. Do Ji secretly follows and overhears the scammers selling a taxi license to Mr. O for 100 million. While they only bought it for 1 million, he is determined to make them pay 100 times over. Just then, the TV reports heavy flooding in a certain area due to heavy rain. The boss, Byung-jin, immediately smells an opportunity and tells his subordinates to prepare a truck to carry goods. Sure enough, when they get to the junkyard, they buy 7 expensive cars that were just flooded. These cars have no insurance, so there are no flood records. Buyers at the store will have no idea what they're buying. It turns out this is how they get these flooded cars. In the middle of the night, Do Ji sneaks into the junkyard office to find evidence. It turns out they're using the car owner's documents to destroy the car to change the name of ownership. The junkyard owner discovers him and tries to attack him, but he knocks him out. The flooded cars are brought by noblesse to a secret workshop to be cleaned and touched up before being sold at a high price. The most terrible thing is that Byung-jin tells his assistant to sew the exploded airbags skillfully instead of replacing them. At this time, his subordinates report that all the cars bought at the junkyard yesterday have been deregistered. Byung-jin gets angry and calls the junkyard owner, but can't get through, so he orders them to put everything in storage and make cars. Then he rushes to a nightclub to meet his customers, all wealthy young men. He is respected by these guys as a leader because he has legal knowledge and specializes in advising them on how to circumvent the law when committing crimes, such as hiring prostitutes and then causing accidents while drunk. These bad guys are also the ones who rent his luxury cars under other people's names and then do crazy things. Choi and Park pretend to fight and accidentally go into their room, then apologize and leave. Turns out the two of them secretly placed cameras under the floor. Thanks to that, they know that these young men are the customers who buy cars for Byung-jin. Because of the money, he insists on putting these dangerous cars on the road. If he's so greedy for money, they will use money to bring him down. The next day, Do Ji transforms into a rich fool again and goes to buy a used car as a surprise gift for his girlfriend. When they see him come, their eyes light up, and they immediately introduce him to a bright red car. Upon inspection, he finds out it's also a battered car that was flooded. A few days later, Do Ji continues to buy used cars at another store where Deok-soo likes to wait and swoop in to steal customers. They're very suspicious of him buying more cars. Is that fool two-timing and buying each girl a car? The next day, Do Ji brings a truck to buy 4 cars, making Deok-soo's eyes widen. This news immediately reaches boss Byung-jin. They are all extremely confused about life. That idiot buys cars without checking or bargaining at all. Just then, the assistant reports that the idiot has come to buy a car again. This time, Doo-ji uses the excuse that he broke up with his girlfriend and needs to buy a new car to relieve his sorrow. He also deliberately flashes several stacks of money to tempt them. Following the same procedure as before, after Doo-ji signs the contract, Byung-jin presents the inserted contract page and forces him to pay another 7 million in remaining value. Thinking he would demand to cancel the contract, he agrees to pay with a check. The scammers are extremely confused. They don't understand what this fool is planning to do. Unable to resist their curiosity, they follow Doo-ji. Seeing that the fish have taken the bait, he lures them to the used car gathering place. They only see Doo-ji putting the keys of the newly bought car into a machine and pressing a password, and the machine automatically spits out stacks of money. After Doo-ji disappears, the others rush to check the cars, all of which are old cars and are in other places. They are even more confused and don't understand what he is doing, gathering dozens of cars here. Money laundering or planning to use them for drug trafficking. Byung-jin approaches the automatic machine and tries to find the password, but can't. So he angrily smashes the machine to pieces and orders the subordinates to arrest Doo-ji. Not long after, Doo-ji returns to buy a car again, bragging that he has a new girlfriend. They immediately tie him up to interrogate him. Without even being hit, Doo-ji blurts out that he's found an idiot. If he buys used cars for himself, he'll pay the entire purchase price plus a 10% commission. But he doesn't know why he's buying the cars. He also has a contract in his pocket to buy 100 cars, but so far, he's only gathered 30 cars for that idiot. He deliberately buys one car at a time to avoid suspicion. Byung-jin immediately demands to cooperate with Doo-ji. Just waiting for that, Doo-ji happily agrees. After checking, Noblesse only has 36 cars in stock. Adding the 30 cars that Doo-ji has gathered makes 66. That leaves 34 cars short. Un immediately spreads fake news online about a taxi company near their house being flooded due to a burst pipe. All the cars are submerged in water. Sung-chul then floods the cars with water to make it look real. That night, Byung-jin goes to the parking lot to check, confirming that the cars are indeed flooded. At this time, Sung-chul appears as the director of the bankrupt taxi company. Byung-jin immediately offers to buy all 30 flooded taxis at a price slightly higher than scrap metal, even bringing a suitcase full of cash. Of course, Sung-chul puts on a happy face and immediately prepares a sales contract. When he happily loads the cars, he demands 500 million for the remaining value in cash. The same trick he did to Mr. O. Your contract doesn't have that clause? Let me add a special clause here. Who told you not to stamp? Knowing he's being tricked, Byung-jin angrily calls the big guy to threaten him. But Sung-chul is ready to fight. Recognizing him as the rich fool, Byung-jin realizes he's been tricked from the start. For old time's sake, although the contract can't be cancelled, I'll give you a chance to exchange. Then Doo-ji shows them the collection of toy cars. Byung-jin gets angry and tells the big guy to go up. In short, with Doo-ji giving 2 punches, he ends up on the floor. The others charge but are also beaten. Byung-jin retreats and calls the young men, promising to give them supercars for free for a year. After they all arrive, Doo-ji then provokes them to lure them all to chase him. They think they'll easily catch the beat-up taxi. The cars in Doo-ji's are what they seem. He accelerates to nearly 300 kilometers per hour, leaving all the supercars in the dust. After Doo-ji lures them into the tunnel, Park closes the door, trapping them all. When they're searching for him, Doo-ji drives out, crashing straight into them. Thanks for coming all the way here. Saves me the shipping fee. The contract says to exchange new cars for supercars. Didn't you read carefully? Turns out Doo-ji guessed he wouldn't pay, so he came up with this plan to confiscate the supercars. Byung-jin gets angry and tells his subordinates to charge. But to Doo-ji, these minions are just flies. The big guy is also defeated in 3 seconds. The boss Byung-jin also pulls out a knife and charges. Doo-ji quickly disarms him and beats him to the ground. To end the revenge, Doo-ji gives them the experience of sitting on the mobile time bombs that they sold. Does the car you're sitting in look familiar? The assistant frantically recognizes it. It's a flooded car. I sewed the airbags on this car. The scammers scream in despair, experiencing the extreme fear that the innocent victims had to endure when driving the flying coffins they sold. This is the price to pay for disregarding other people's lives for money. Mr. O has returned home with his wife and children and started working again. The Rainbow Taxi team not only saved one innocent person but also an entire family. The mission has been completed successfully. The Rainbow Taxi team gathers for a delicious barbecue, but they probably won't get to rest for long. In a dark watch repair shop, a strange character holds a Rainbow Taxi business card in his hand with a line full of gunpowder. I'm gonna kill you all. Is he an enemy of Rainbow Taxi or a victim who needs revenge?